It is often said that everything happens for a reason. One way of interpreting that statement is that every effect has a cause. The cause is the reason, the explanation of what made that effect happen. So yes, everything does happen for a reason. Nicola Bulley. A beautiful mother of two, cut down in what should have been the prime of her life. A successful career, partner, and family living in what appears to be, on the outside, anyway, a lovely, safe, and picturesque environment. But if everything does happen for a reason, what is that reason? Blinkerhole takes a look at the whole picture. Many have become bogged down with tiny details. Scrutinizing dog tags, items of clothing, and routes she may or may not have taken. In our opinion, the question that should be asked is why, not how. What was the motive? If indeed, there was one. Speculation has been rife to say the least, not helped by the statements released by Lancashire police, especially at the beginning of the investigation. It is the oddities at the heart of this case that piqued the public's interest. The mobile phone on the bench, the work meeting call made at arm's length, the harness halfway down the bank, the dog leash, where is it? Oh. There it is. The eerie CCTV footage of what was said to be Nicola taking her children to school on that fateful day. Her partner, Paul, reaching into the backseat, and the ensuing arguments over just who exactly is the woman getting into that car wearing the blue calf-length coat, no, ankle-length black coat. Is it Nicola Bulley? Is it Emma White? Is it someone else? Are those water bottles in the boot? Why is the video jumping? Has it been edited? Not forgetting the tennis ball, of course. Is it in or is it out? Emma White certainly made it quite clear that it was most definitely out, but we were not so sure at the time. The multiple pictures of lovely Willow the dog, was she wearing a harness? Was that on or off? Let's scrutinize those pictures of her frolicking in the water and the fields. The shallowness of the river then became the focus. Could Nicola Bulley have gotten over the weir? Could she have hit her head and then somehow got stuck somewhere, out of sight of the extensive search team and Peter Faulding with his fancy sonar? Then, the people at the caravan park, thought by some to be rather odd. A hot-tempered sort who doesn't like dogs, it was said. Why was the CCTV at the caravan park not working, and for that matter, why was it not working at the school either? Is it related? Are they related? It was anyone's guess. And, who can forget the videos of the angry residents, unhappy with the spotlight shining on them and their seemingly normal and inconspicuous lives? And, the spooky abandoned house across the river that had bad smells. It wasn't abandoned, some cried. Then, we had the unusual behavior of Nicola's so-called friends, devoid of a single tear and positively grinning throughout the whole debacle, and the convenient next-door neighbor who reminded us of a Cheshire cat about to have kittens. We observed the shiftiness of several witnesses, which made us uncomfortable. The blanket ban on the press and the ever-changing hypothesis of the police made us suspicious. We wanted to know more, and the more we dug, the more questions we had. The arrests of the people who burrowed too deep to find the truth, the peculiar manner in which her body was discovered, and its close proximity to her friend's house by none other than a psychic, who seemed to have a knack for finding missing people. And his friend, walking a dog, was there a dog? We couldn't see it in the pictures. We couldn't be sure of anything it seemed. The Fitbit, was Nicola wearing it? Why had it been unsynced on the Tuesday, and just why is everyone in the village wearing the same type of bobble hat? The mind boggled. We wanted to know everything, every stone needed turning, every blade of grass checked for evidence. A discarded glove, a broken fence, a cryptic video, news footage of villagers and friends holding up signs, a phone call to a vet, an alleged airbrushed photo, a possible crime scene in another location, Ski Pool Creek, a tunnel near a house, Facebook profiles, the messages on the bridge, the yellow ribbons, a ring on a finger, a pair of smart Wellington boots, a curl in the hair, a ball thrower in a boot, a grave with tributes, a missing grey bin, a white car allegedly driven recently, a red car. A suspicious red van, an altercation on a footpath, a suspicious bin bag, a late-night sighting near the spot she was found, next to a lay-by no less. We asked why the scene at the bench wasn't secured at the beginning of the investigation, if indeed, there was an investigation at all, and why was Paul Ansell wearing his gym gear? Why on earth did he feel the need to mention it 3 times during the interview with Dan Walker, who was pictured with a blooded nose after flying off his bike. What was Paul Ansel hoping to achieve in that interview? Shouldn't he have been looking at the camera and asking for help to find his partner? It also begged the question, why did he not look for her at the time she supposedly disappeared? We said, if it was us, we would never have left that riverside scene. We wouldn't have scurried home on the police's instructions, we would have been there all night long, searching every inch of that village. It's something in the village, Paul said. So, why didn't he find out what it is? It made us angry, livid in fact. We suspected everyone, they are all in it together, we screamed. The images of the woman in red, who said she'd already come forward, and the woman in yellow pushing a pram who said that she saw nothing. It reminded Blinkerhole of red and amber traffic lights stopping and pausing. At one point we half expected the old man with the white dog to be wearing a green coat for go. Who knew what was going on, we inquired. The two decidedly dodgy-sounding fishermen lurking near the riverbank whilst hiding their faces under their hoods added to the mystery and intrigue. But did they have a license and a fishing rod, we inquired, and did Willow eat the bait? And just what were the police doing floating on their backs near the weir, and what were they searching for in the river, months after she was found? Then there's the timeline. What timeline, we asked. The timeline was as much use as a chocolate teapot as far as Blinkerhole was concerned if it kept bending and changing to suit the official narrative. Did she go missing on that morning, or did she disappear the day or week before, we pondered, and what was the concern for welfare report all about on the 10th? What really happened on that day, and why were medical professionals in attendance? Then, there's the Paul Ansel interviews, the hat over the eye in the first one, and the magical appearance of Willow in the second, after Emma White had publicly pleaded for people to come forward with actual evidence. Perhaps they would be able to relate if they too, quote, have a dog called Willow. Footage that has now been wiped from the face of the earth. If it wasn't so tragic, the whole saga was like the gift that kept on giving, yet we were scolded for even mentioning it. We were told that we mustn't speculate, just listen to what we are told and don't question it. You must respect the family and their privacy at this difficult time, they said. In other words, in our opinion, go away and let us sweep this whole thing under the carpet. Blinkerhole too fell into the trap of putting this case down to a very sad story of a missing woman and her supposed eventual recovery in the water. We even sourced a yellow ribbon and said to ourselves, we'll take it down when the poor lady is found. But then, a horrible realization began to creep in and smothered us in a dark cloud of fear. There was something gnawing away at our bones, in Ron's words, something wasn't right. We began to furiously dig at that point, and piece by piece we put the jigsaw together, or, at least into a picture of what we thought was on the cover of the puzzle box. The multiple missing people in the surrounding areas and even further afield, the letters of support sent to Paul Ansel via the newspapers from the unfortunate victims of similar circumstances, the conflicting witness statements of who saw what in the field and how that morning, the CCTV images, every single photograph, including those of Willow and specifically the significance of the number 23. Every word said by the family and in the manner in which it was said or unsaid was thoroughly scrutinized and heavily researched. Blinkerhole discovered that St. Michael's on Wire is a rather special type of place where all is not as it seems. We feel that the people who live there, or at least, who were there at the time, have stories to tell and intriguing lives that have been lived. We researched all of the characters in the story, much like you would do if writing a book. We found that many were linked together like a chain, ring-fencing the village. Hush, quiet now, be gone, leave us to grieve in peace, they whispered beneath their smirks. Emma's choppy hair and missing tooth and Paul's black eye were pondered over, keeping us awake at night. One minute, we thought we had worked it all out, and then the next, we were back to square one. At times, we felt like giving up. But no, we would carry on, we would fight for justice, for Nicola and her two little girls. But then we stopped in our tracks. We nudged the end of the road and nearly toppled over the edge of our sanity into the abyss. We stared at the reams of notes surrounding us and gathered them all up one by one, and then ripped them into 1,000 pieces and placed them in the waste paper bin. You see, Blinkerhole believes that we did reach the end of that road, but we paused. We looked at it again and again for several hours, multiple days, many weeks, and even months, but we didn't like what we saw. Lies, deceit, cover-ups, secrets, revenge, and threats frightened us, consumed us, to the point that we were forced to let it all go, let it float up into the ether. Other unrelated stories began to intrigue us and our attention was well and truly diverted. Blinkerhole doubts that we'll go down that particular rabbit hole again. Perhaps, it's considerably safer and more comfortable being silenced, our mind free of the dark and gnarly world that resides in a quaint little village in Lancashire. As we arrive in the month of June, it seems like a lifetime ago that a seemingly unassuming mother of two took her dog for a walk along the river. The silence of the press has been deafening, and speaks volumes in our opinion, about the true nature of what happened on that fateful morning of January 27, 2023. As Blinkerhole said at the beginning, everything happens for a reason. There is a reason for the blanket press ban, there is a reason for the shiftiness of all involved, and there are specific reasons for the lack of evidence gathering. In our own opinion, that is because they already knew what had happened in great detail and the only information that they actually required was the dashcam footage from members of the general public, just on the off chance there were any loose ends that would end up wrapped around their own necks. Blinkerhole wonders if the truth will ever come out. From what we have established, some truths may reveal themselves after the inquest on Monday, June 26, but we have a feeling that those truths won't be coming from the county hall in Preston on that day. So, the question remains, is anyone brave enough to speak the truth? Do they even want to? Will the secrets surrounding one of the biggest cases of a missing person since Madeleine McCann ever be brought to light? If we are honest, we doubt that we will ever get the full story, and that is down, in our opinion, to the safety of all involved, and that includes the general public, who innocently tried to help what they believe to be just a very sad case of a missing woman called Nicola Bulley. Please like and subscribe for more journeys through the Blinkerhole. For entertainment purposes only.